The cost of being too available. Too available is not a habit. It is a signaling pattern that reshapes how others price a person's time, attention, and presence. When access is easy, the implied cost is low. When response is immediate, the implied queue is empty. When the queue looks empty, demand interprets supply as abundant. There is no mystery in what happens next. Availability sets the reference point. Each quick reply moves the expectation closer to now. Each unprotected hour teaches that the hour can be taken. Each yes without pause suggests there were no competing claims. People read the absence of friction as absence of importance. The pattern reinforces itself because feedback is instant and appears positive. It forms because the short-run rewards are straightforward. Messages answered quickly produce warm words. Requests accepted earn public thanks. Proximity creates a feeling of inclusion. Being on hand looks like being trusted. It looks close to status until it does not. Access becomes cheap, and respect goes with it. The person inside the pattern reads their own willingness as strength. They talk about responsiveness as professionalism, consistency, and care. They point to their reliability as a reason they are central. They meet their own discomfort with more availability, which lowers the signal even further. They police themselves to be reachable, then decide that reaching them is what proves their value. The loop is closed and feels self-evident. Social settings reward the first few instances. A manager says, "Thanks for being quick," and the line hardens. A friend says, "You always pick up," and the role clicks into place. A client increases the requests because there appears to be no cost. The person mistakes repetition for recognition. In truth, repetition is just training. The pattern does not announce itself as a loss. It offers a steady flow of small asks. It builds a steady stream of small praise. It fills empty space and then makes more space to fill. The person learns to preempt the ask to control the pace. That preemption removes the last visible sign of constraint. Time is given, and nothing returns. The internal justification is clear. They were available when others were not. They were there when things were messy. They were reachable when it was late or awkward. They equate being needed with being important, so they supply need on demand. They interpret the volume of requests as proof of place. Signals from the outside are not confusing. People believe what they see. If a person is always reachable, people assume there is nothing else blocking access. If a person answers at once, people assume there is nothing more pressing. If a person accepts any time, people assume there is no competing demand. Always available is the whole message. The available person hears words that sound like respect. "You're a lifesaver. Couldn't have done it without you. You always come through." These are easy to say. They cost nothing to give. They buy more time than they pay for. What feels fair inside the pattern is simply the side effect of sunk time. The more a person invests in being reachable, the more they need to believe it pays. This pushes them to interpret every ping as justified. It pushes them to answer even faster to avoid thinking. Avoidance becomes style and is marketed as ease. The signal sent is need, not value. In group terms, the role becomes predictable. Teams organize around the path of least resistance. If one person will accept every late changes are rooted there. If one person will pick up every dropped task, tasks will be dropped faster. The system conserves energy by assigning inconvenience to the most accessible container. That is not personal. It is efficient. The person misreads proximity cues. Being added to every thread looks like inclusion. It is distribution, not status. Being asked to join every call looks like importance. It is a way to keep someone on hand. High-friction rooms do not recruit the person who is always free. The pattern deepens because people comply with the visible rules. If a person shows they will move their schedule, others stop protecting it. If a person shows they will bend, bending becomes the default ask. If a person shows they will give an inch, the inch is baked into every plan. No one needs to push. The line moves without force. The belief underneath is that generosity builds credit. In practice, generosity used as availability converts to baseline expectation. Credit does not accrue, it evaporates. Favors turn into routine tasks. Occasional help turns into ongoing function. Gratitude becomes noise that covers extraction. The available person notices the noise and assumes it means closeness. The complement pattern is consistent and low effort. It smooths the exchange and keeps it running. Thank you replaces payment. You're the best replaces protection. The words keep the machine quiet. Inside the pattern, the person compares themselves to others who are less present. They find proof of moral difference. They tell themselves that the others are unreliable or selfish. They call their own availability a higher standard. They do not notice the difference in how people treat the absent. They only notice how often they are called. Absence is not read as neglect. It is read as scarcity. Scarcity raises the implied rate. Availability lowers it. The person who is often absent gets careful attention when present. The person who is always present becomes background. The internal map confuses urgent with important. They measure their days by the number of requests handled. They attach meaning to the speed, not the outcome. They prize reachability over selectivity, because reachability brings constant proof of being central. That proof is circular and self-sustaining. They do not need to be forced into the pattern. They install it themselves. They check without being asked. They answer without pause. They keep their calendar open and then sell the openness as a benefit. They turn their own time into a communal resource and call it team first. From the outside, this looks simple. One person holds their frame. One person does not. Observers track who protects their hours and who can be shifted. They track who delays and who bends. They choose the one who bends because it removes friction. Being too available also projects lack of demand. If no one else seems to claim the person's time, the assumption is that the market has spoken. People do not seek out what others ignore. They do not chase what they can already have. They conserve effort and place their attention elsewhere. The cost of chasing is saved by pulling from the always open source. The emotional relief gained from being needed masks the erosion of value. The hit of usefulness is immediate. The loss of standing is slow. The person notices the former and misses the latter. They predict tomorrow based on today's gratitude. They do not see the quiet ledger changing. Claims of "that's just who I am" fossilize the role. Identity is strapped to service. Every deviation triggers guilt. Guilt demands more availability to restore the picture. The picture looks stable, but is just a trap. In professional settings, this reads as low leverage. People with leverage spend their time, not their minutes. They are hard to reach because their attention is accounted for. When someone supplies minutes on demand, they are signaling that their time can be commanded. The command becomes casual and unremarkable. There is no dramatic turn here. There is no point of negotiation. The calibration happens in a series of small, easy choices. Each acceptance narrows the margin. Each concession resets the standard. Each reset makes the next ask easier to make and harder to refuse. The person inside the pattern is not powerless. They are simply read in a certain way. They have taught others how to approach them. They have made it easy to treat them as open capacity. The treatment follows the training. It does not require intent. In relationships, availability absorbs entity. When one side can always be reached, the other side never has to hold tension. The available side holds it for both. This creates a smooth surface that hides imbalance. The imbalance then becomes the norm. It is not perceived as cruelty. It is perceived as convenience. Convenience wins because it removes pain. If one person removes pain at no cost, everyone will delegate their discomfort. That is how the pattern locks into place. The routine creates a single story about the person. The story is simple. They are there. That story becomes the first and last fact others need to plan around them. Other traits are edited out. The whole file shrinks to a function and stays there. Observers do not announce the shift. They simply update the model. The person is reclassified from peer to resource. Their insights are optional. Their presence is assumed. Invitations shift from "we want your view" to "we need you on standby." There is no break in tone. People stop listening when they start talking. The ease of access becomes their only edge, which is not an edge. They are approached when the risk of refusal must be near zero. They are overlooked when selectivity carries weight. Their name is used to pad headcount and cover gaps. Their voice is used to confirm decisions already made. Their name moves down the call list. Respect reallocates silently. People wait for some, and they do not wait for others. People prepare for some, and they improvise with others. The always available person gets improvised. Their time is treated as absorbent. The signal spreads without comment because it saves effort for everyone else. Access remains, but status does not. Work sorts itself around the certainty of their yes. Routine tasks seek them because the result is predictable. Low variance obligations land there. High variance opportunities pass over. The sorting does not require a plan. It just continues until it looks like intention. Meeting rooms mark the divide in small ways. Who gets interrupted? Who gets deferred to? Who is allowed to be late? Who is excused from low-level follow-ups? The person who is too available sits fully present and waits. The introduction copy changes. "This is the person who can handle it" replaces "this is the person we need to ask." Handles it means absorbs risk, not shapes direction. Absorbing risk reads as service. Service reads as subordinate. Subordinate voices do not carry far. Relationships move into a pattern of unilateral scheduling. Others choose the time. Others choose the channel. Others set the response window. The person complies because that is what they do. Compliance confirms the classification. There is no open conflict. There is no pushback required. People adjust their energy expended around the person. They spend less with them and more elsewhere. They use the available person to protect their energy for scarce targets. The hierarchy clarifies without a single direct statement. In crises, the available person becomes the first call for execution and the last call for decisions. They are present for every fix, but not for the choices that create the need to fix. They are praised for endurance. They are not trusted with design. Endurance looks noble until it reads as low optionality. Over time, the quantity of their contributions rises, while the weight of their contributions falls. They are a safe pair of hands when hands are needed. They are not a mind people wait for. Their calendar fills. Their influence drains. In social circles, the pattern plays the same way. The reliable one becomes a coordinate point. Plans adjust around their willingness to adjust. People check in only when something is needed. Invitations are placeholders for last-minute decisions. If they do not respond, people assume they will when it matters to them. The image of the person narrows, then flattens. Friends and colleagues use a shortcut. If something important is at stake, ask someone else first. The always available person is used when the cost of delay is intolerable, but the cost of input is low. This preserves other people's status and protects their own scarcity. The available person protects nothing, so they protect no one's estimation of them. Credit follows scarcity. When something valuable happens, people assign it to the rare presence, not the constant one. A constant presence is assumed. It becomes the floor. Floors are walked on without notice. Compensation tracks the same rule. If pay is tied to perceived leverage, the person with no perceived leverage sees slow movement. Raises and promotions go to those with guarded calendars and controlled refusals. The person who never refuses cannot signal that their time combines with rare judgment. They have made their contribution measurable in hours. Hours are easy to slice. Power allocates in the quiet parts of interactions. Who gets the recap addressed to them? Who gets the first draft for comment? Who sets the time of follow-up? Who is waited on in a room? The available person is not waited on. The back channel replaces the person without ceremony. Important matters get discussed with someone else first. The available person is copied later. They become part of the documentation, not the decision. Their opinions do not offend because they do not alter outcomes. They deliver the work after the shape is set. Personal dynamics take the same shape. When one side knows the other will always be there, friction shifts downhill. Patience is withdrawn. Courtesy shortens. Small slights increase because the cost is low. The available person becomes the safe target for inconvenience. The person's attempts to signal value through more availability fall flat. Extra effort is invisible. Extra time is consumed as normal. The difference between standard and sacrifice is erased. There is no marker of going above. There is only the expectation that capacity will absorb. The few moments of public praise do not move the long-term track. An audience claps for reliability in public and asks someone else in private. Warmth on stage covers cold allocation behind the scenes. The person's identity is dependable becomes the reason to deny them choice. Dependable means controlled. Testing behavior intensifies. Others push response times closer to the edge. Others cancel without cost. Others escalate the size of asks to see if the pattern holds. It holds. Each proof reduces doubt about how far the person can be stretched. Stretch becomes default elasticity. Once the pattern is established, new people inherit it. They look to peers for cues and follow them. They observe who gets deference and who gets direction. The available person gets direction. Deference goes to someone else. Even when the person tries to withhold for a moment, the brand stays. People are surprised or annoyed. They treat the pause as a glitch, not a change. Plans do not adjust around the person. Plans adjust around their past behavior. The asymmetry is stable. One side holds the expectation. The other side carries the load. The load is manageable in pieces and consuming in total. Because it grows quietly, there is no obvious moment to mark the change. By the time it is noticed, other people's allocations are set. In reputational markets, being common reduces mention. The person becomes the reliable background. Background does not get word of mouth. Background does not get advocated for. Background does not get defended when resources are distributed. There is no malice. There is only selection against what is easy to take for granted. When resources tighten, the available person is first to be leaned on and last to be protected. We know they'll handle it, substitutes for support. Meanwhile, scarce contributors are shielded. The rationale is efficient use, not fairness. The outcome favors those already advantaged by scarcity. Mentions of leadership migrate away. The available person is referenced for throughput, not direction. Their ideas are used when convenient and treated as communal. Their work is framed as execution. Execution gets gratitude. Direction gets power. In status games, responses are data. A fast yes is read as low priority elsewhere. A slow yes is read as crowded demand. A no is read as strong demand. The person who supplies fast yes at scale cements their place at the bottom of choice hierarchies. Others feel safe deprioritizing them. In personal esteem terms, people mimic external allocation. They mirror the way others act around the available person. They adopt the same shortcuts. Norms lock in around that template. Variance fades. Outliers who treat the person with unusual deference look odd. The silence around the shift keeps it in place. There is no meeting where it is stated. There is no memo. There is only the daily decision to root effort where it feels most costly. The available person absorbs what no one else wants. They will not resist because they have not resisted. Over long spans, the pattern atrophies the person's ability to influence cadence. They forget what it is to be waited on. They forget what it is to have others adjust for them. They plan around everyone else and call it normal. Normalcy hides loss. Loss is the point. Even if they change behavior later, the archive remains. People remember years of access. They do not update on a week. The person pays twice, once for being available, again for the disbelief when they are not. The past holds them in place. There is no public reckoning. Status does not collapse in a moment. It drifts down with every unprotected hour. It drifts down with every unearned yes. By the end, the role is fixed and the choices are already made.